When my grandmother, whose usual largest concern is how to best fit the croissant rolls in the oven to where they come out that crispy brown she likes, comes and asks me, "What's the big deal with ISIS?" you know that there's a significant issue. Moving into 2015, more and more Americans are becoming married to the idea that ISIS, or ISIL as they typically prefer to be called, is one of the biggest humanitarian as well as foreign issues facing the United States. But the question must be asked. When tasked with looking over all of the serious terroristic threats to the United States, why is ISIS such a substantial threat to the United States as well as the world? The answer to this question is threefold. First, ISIS has funds to a level that we've not yet seen before. Second, ISIS's ideologies are more united and their hierarchy more formulated than we've seen in the past. But finally, and most importantly, ISIS's numbers are growing, not only within ISIS territory, but within the United States itself. But to start with, economically, ISIS brings a new threat to the table, and that is that they're being funded by adversaries and friends alike all over the world. In an article from the Business Insider on March 2nd of 2015, it was elaborated to say that in a recent UN meeting, Vladimir Putin came out to say that several countries, including 40 or more member UN countries, have been known to fund ISIS's organization and their overall actions. This means that within the context of the world and foreign policy as a whole, it can be known that ISIS has substantial fundings. However, furthermore, an article from MSNBC on the 11th of October 2015 elaborated to say that ISIS is being funded on multiple fronts, and their oil organizations are anything but detracting from their organization's overall funding. So, the big conclusion to be drawn in regards to ISIS is that not only their ideology, but more importantly, their economics is what allows them to stand out as a terroristic organization, and furthermore, as a threat to the United States. But in addition, as I previously mentioned, one of the biggest aspects of any terroristic organization is how they act ideologically. And while other splinter organizations such as Al-Qaeda in the early 2000s have substantially had ideological issues that prevented them from establishing a serious hierarchy, ISIS is not confronted with this issue. In an article from The Atlantic on the 3rd of December 2014, it was elaborated to say that ISIS as a whole has a more strict ideological mannerism than any other organization. In an article from the same company entitled "What ISIS Really Wants," they elaborated to say that we're dealing not only with a radical Islamic organization, but in addition with an organization with a hierarchy capable of establishing a serious threat to the United States. In an article from Newsmax on February 16th of 2015, that difference between ISIS and other splinter terroristic organizations was further exacerbated, in which they elaborated to say that ISIS establishes something that no other organization in the past has, which is, in addition to tangible land, which we've not seen with the likes of Al-Qaeda or other organizations, they elaborate to say that ISIS is adding a strict ideological hierarchy, with members in every country, and again, a strict hierarchy that upholds with leaders and followers within ISIS's sophisticated organization. So we have that, not only in terms of their overall funding, but in addition, in terms of their ideology, ISIS is leading the pack of terroristic organizations. Just as my grandmother, who's typically worried about cooking, is starting to worry about ISIS, many Americans are jumping on this bandwagon, and with good reason. Not only their economics, but in addition their ideologies makes them a significant threat to the world. But specifically to the United States, the biggest threat that ISIS pose comes in the form of ISIS presenting a threat to the United States, as in United States citizens going to fight for the ISIS organization. An article from CNN on the 15th of October 2015 elaborated to say that ISIS has taken several members of the United States. In this specific examination, they elaborated to say that a United States couple has gone to ISIS disguising it as their honeymoon. While the couple themselves has been apprehended, it is not an isolated incident. An article from the New York Times stated September 26th of 2015. They went on to state that within the context of the United States, thousands of citizens have gone overseas to fight against ISIS. It's not just a problem facing the United States. An article of a paper edition of The Economist from October of 2015 elaborated to say that a lot of the problem stems from other countries not upholding as strict regulations against organizing going to ISIS as the United States does. The article went on to state that while the United States is preventing their citizens from going over and fighting overseas with ISIS's organization, other countries such as France are much more lax with how they deal with it. And while recent events may lead us to believe that France is going to change their ways in terms of immigration, the fact still remains that a pervading issue for the United States preventing their citizens from crossing the borders into Syria is other countries not taking the proper precautions. This contributes, of course, to the overall idea that ISIS's strength comes not only from its economics, not only from its strict ideology and serious hierarchy, but in addition from their ability to draw followers from not only their territories, but territories of the areas they are attacking. So, my grandmother came up to me and asked me what's the deal with ISIS. While for many American citizens, dealing with politics may be a big thing, for my grandma, it's really out of the ordinary. For a woman that usually centers around cooking, cleaning, and yelling at me because my room's a filthy, rotten mess, my grandmother came out and talked about ISIS as if she really wanted to know what it means. ISIS is a pervading issue to the United States because of their economics, because of their politics, their ideology and hierarchy, and finally, because of their ability to detract citizens from other countries to join their ranks. ISIS is a substantial issue.